Staff Sergeant Charles Richard Long, United States Army, Korea. Folks, Charles Long actually entered the military in 1943, fought in World War II, fought in the Ardennes and the Rhineland, and at the Battle of the Bulge received a Purple Heart, a Bronze Star. One report says he got 3 Bronze Stars. Just a great man in World War II, a decorated veteran of World War II. He left the military in 1945. In 1947, he went back into the reserves. From Independence to Missouri, I've been there several times with my work. And in 1950, the Korean War broke out in June of 1950, and in September he was called back because staff sergeants and below had to go. Anybody above didn't have to go. So he was right on the cutoff line there, but he had to go to Korea. He's like 27 years old, on his way to Korea, 26 years old, on his way to Korea, turned 27, I think, in December of 50. But folks, he received the Congressional Medal of Honor, and I'm not going to tell it all, but I've got a gentleman at the end of this interview who served with him. He served with 38th Infantry Regiment, 2nd Infantry Division, Company M as in Mike, and so did this other gentleman, Doyle Parman. He's going to talk at the end of the interview about what happened that day. But it was February 12th, early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's cold, snowy. Korea, fighting the North Koreans and the Chinese, and the South Koreans were fighting with the American forces who were supporting the South Korean operation. So it's February 12th, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. He's a forward observer, a mortar platoon, and he's a sergeant, and he's up on a hill, Hill 300. So if it was 200 meters above sea level, it'd be Hill 200. It's 300 meters, so it's Hill 300 in Korea, one of the higher points there. And the North Koreans and the Chinese had just decimated the South Koreans the day before. Like 7,000 of them were wounded or killed. So there were about 3,000 left, and the Americans were there. And Sergeant Long was calling in mortar rounds, calling in artillery. He was forward observer, so he's out front there, about a mile ahead of everybody, and seeing what's going on from the hill, obviously up high. And they were getting overrun. The army was getting overrun. They were waiting on orders to retreat. They finally got the orders to retreat. Sergeant Long decided to stay, not to retreat. I don't know what inside of him kept him to stay there, but he did. And he radioed in that he was out of ammo, he's out of grenades, and to fire, to send 40 rounds of ammunition, heavy artillery ammunition, on his coordinates that he gave them. And they did that. He was killed. We don't know if it was from that, probably was, the barrage. But he called in fire on top of himself. That sounds like hero stuff, doesn't it? It sure does. Folks, obviously Charles saved the lives of a lot of Americans, because after the retreat, after they withdrew from the Hill 300, they were able to regroup and then attack. And I know him calling in that barrage on himself killed a lot of the enemy, and that's what the citation is for his Congressional Medal of Honor. So just incredible. Charles' family got a telegram saying that he was missing in action. It was about 3 months later that they actually confirmed that he was killed in Korea. But it took 6 months to bring his body back. They couldn't get the Chinese or whoever to release his body, but they finally brought him back to the United States where he belonged, and he's buried at Mount Washington Cemetery there in Independence, Missouri. You'll see a picture of myself and Edith at the end of this video. So just close to my heart, folks. On the inside of my Korea film, Korea the Forgotten War, maybe some of you have seen this. This is my 8th film. I have an insert, a special insert for Sergeant Long. It's going to be on the screen here after a while too, showing him getting the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now folks, here's what I did. I obviously didn't interview Charles, but I've learned a lot about him. He had an older brother named Richard who served in World War II, and he had a younger sister, Edith Marie Long. And I interviewed Edith on June 27, 2008. We had been at the Truman Library. We showed my Korea film, and it was just a great, 2008, it was a great showing. And I met Edith and I interviewed Edith. Edith's going to tell us about Charles. It's not an exhaustive interview, but it's enough to let you know about Charles and her family, how they went to Washington, D.C., received the Medal of Honor. Charles' wife received the Congressional Medal of Honor on behalf of Charles and the family. It's just a great story. I've wanted to do this story on Charles for a long time. Edith passed away the same year as my mom, 2017. She was 91. And Independence, Missouri. So just a great lady, tells a great story, and I'm just so grateful that I'm able to share Charles' story here You're going to enjoy the pictures and the interview at the end with Doyle Parman. So I want to give a great big thank you to Michael Blaze. Michael came to me about a year ago and was really thankful for the work that I'm doing with the Korean veterans. He lived in Korea a total of 24 years, came back to the United States. He's an American history teacher in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hope to go there sometime, Michael, and share with your classes the work that I'm doing. I've done a lot of school presentations across the country, and I love students. I love the history of what we're sharing with the kids. They need to know. They don't know what freedom is, folks, and I've got it all. People like Charles Long. And but Michael, a great big thank you to you. Michael's a Navy veteran, served in the 80s. His father served during the Korean War in the Navy. So military history right there. But Michael's just a great man. I hope to meet you someday, Michael, and thank you for sponsoring Charles' story. Bring it to life. You're right, this story has to be brought to life. It should have been brought to life. I did a video 3 years ago with Charles. It's just a short 3-minute video, but this is a lot better today. So Michael, God bless you. I salute you. And I appreciate you so much. So, folks, let's honor Charles Long, Staff Sergeant Charles Long, now with this interview. I think I said everything I was going to say, but I'm just really looking forward to sharing this with you. I've been working on this hard, and I ask you to share this with somebody. This is history, folks. History is best learned from those who were there, the teachers tell me. So this is history. So God bless Charles Long. I believe he's in heaven, and we'll see him again someday soon. Folks, Charles also had a great singing voice. He sang with a quartet called the Four Wrong Fonts. I wish I could hear him. He actually sang at his funeral service. I know that sounds odd, but they played a tape of him singing the Lord's Prayer, and I thought if I could get a hold of that, that would be awesome. But the Four Wrong Fonts, great voice, they tell me, and I wish, like I said, I wish I could have heard that. So he worked as a printer apprentice before going into Korea. So life was cut short, but we have what we have today because of people like him. So God bless Staff Sergeant Long, and I hope you enjoy this interview, and I'll talk to you in my next broadcast. God bless you. You never served in the military, correct?
No.
Okay. And now, how many kids were in your family?
3.
So
2 boys and me.
Okay. What about your other brother? Did he serve in the military?
Yes, he did.
What time and what year and where was he at?
He was in the Air Force.
Oh, he was.
Yes.
What year did he go in? Do you remember?
He was Second World War.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
He was older brother?
He was the oldest of the 3.
Okay. And so tell me just briefly about your family. Were you back in the 40s, 50s? Where were you living then? Here?
I lived in the Independence area. We did. And we were poor like so many others. And my father lost his job and we lost our home. And but they never gave up. They took in boarders, and we made it. And we lived with my grandparents a while, and then my father was able to start buying back the home, and made the last payment on it a month before he died.
Wow.
And then my mother was still living, of course, and then she was in a long-term care facility for 4 years before she died at the age of 94.
Wow.
So, and then the oldest brother was down at Roaring River with his family and was having some problems with the water pump on his car, was working on it and went in the trailer that they had, and he told his wife, he said, "I'm sick, get me some help." And he was dead.
Wow. How old was he?
44.
Heart attack or what?
Mm-hmm.
Never had any problems before?
No.
I don't understand how that happens. Wow.
Well, same way with me. I didn't know I had a problem, and I was going to go to Korea for the 50th anniversary of
Did
the...
you go? Didn't go.
I was having a shoulder problem, and I went to the doctor on a Tuesday, and the following Tuesday I was on the operating table.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't get to go.
So was that the 50th anniversary of the beginning or the end of the war?
End.
So it was 2003?
Yes.
Did they invite you over, or how did that happen?
Well, some friends of mine, and he happened to be with my brother in the same area when he was killed. He didn't know him, and he and his wife were going, and he said, "Why don't you come on and go with us?" And I said, "Fine." I got my passport and flight, everything, and then I didn't get to go. And it was a wonderful experience, they told me, because the government rolled out the red carpet from the time they stepped off the plane until they got back on.
How special that was.
Yes.
Boy, that's too bad you couldn't go. Wow.
Well, it's one of those things.
Yeah. Can you tell me just a little bit about Charles in the military, what you remember about him going in, maybe before, during, after, and then lead me up until what happened to him in Korea?
Well, he enlisted in the Second World War, and he was in the Battle of the Bulge and the crossing the Rhine and all of that. And he was fortunate and came home. And he wanted to go back in, stay in the reserves, and be an escort with the bodies coming back. And they told him no, that they couldn't use that because of his blood pressure. But it wasn't just a matter of weeks until they said, "We want you." And then he went to Korea. And we heard from him every now and then, but he didn't have time to write letters. And it was so cold. And he did what he wanted to do, and that was all he could do. So we were very proud of him. And when the body was brought back, people would say to my mother, "How do you know it's your son? If it's not my son, it's somebody else's son." So that's the way we left it, and I'm sure it was, but whatever.
Well, tell me now, he was in the Battle of the Bulge, so very young boy, went into the
Yes.
Army, and do you have memories of him fighting at the Battle of the Bulge, or how did you know that he was involved with that? Is it afterwards, probably?
Yes, afterwards. And when he would come home around the 4th of July, he would get under the bed. He couldn't stand the firecrackers. Just really, really got to him. So he was a good brother. And
What was he like growing up? Was he a mischievous kid? Was he a disciplined kid? What was he like?
He was a good boy. And in high school, why he had, in the summertime, why he had this little pop stand, whatever you want to call it, at a junction where two buses would meet. And that's what he did. And he was always dressed in white and with a white sailor's cap, and had a good supply of drinks for the people and did well. And then he was in the ROTC in high school and became an officer. And then after high school, he went to Wentworth Military Academy and did well there. And I told him that if he made an officer there, that I would buy him whatever kind of a saber he wanted. And that was a mistake, because he wanted the most expensive one. And that's what he got. So that was my nephew. And my brother was just like that. Wanted to do well in whatever he did, and he did. And he was an asset to his family.
Did he talk much about World War II after
No.
he got back?
No, very little.
And he was out of the military for a few years, was that it? Or?
No, he stayed in the reserve.
Oh, okay, he was in the reserves.
Uh-huh.
When did he achieve the rank of a sergeant? Oh, in Korea?
No. World War II.
World II, okay. So he was probably he was an asset to the military at that time, then to go back in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you remember if he was called or a letter that he had to go to Korea? How did that happen? Was he ordered there?
Yes, he was ordered there.
Okay.
And
Do you remember when he left, or what you were doing or thinking about when he left? Or
thinking about his having to go. And he was married at the time, and she had 2 children, and that was I don't even like to talk about that. So when he came back, she had him buried at Mount Washington, which was fine. And then she married and remarried and finally ended up marrying her first husband. So that was a very unpleasant situation.
where's Mount Washington?
Cemetery, 24 Highway in Brookside. It's really not too terribly far from here. You can get into it off of 24 Highway or Truman Road.
Is it close to the Truman Library?
No,
Okay.
it's west of the Truman
So you
Library.
go farther west.
Yes.
Mhm. Tell me now, Edith. This is important to me. Tell me about where you were when you heard the news that he was killed. Tell me about how the family was notified and the initial thoughts and feelings of the family.
I was employed by the Businessmen's Insurance Company at the time, and the news, if you will, came via telegram, and it said that he was unaccounted for, but it wasn't long until he was confirmed dead. And of course, that's quite a shock, and I've lived through several shocks, and it was hard to accept until you got to thinking about it. And he did what he wanted to do, and he gave everything he had, and we were quite proud of that. And then when we were told that he would be awarded the Medal of Honor, we were sent to Washington, D.C. with his wife and my older brother, my mother, myself, and her 2 children all went. And we were treated royally. And the ceremony at the Pentagon was very impressive. Robert Levitt is the one that presented the medal to her. And it was, as I say, it was quite impressive and something that you never forget. And because not only of who he was, but what he did. And it all was over when they took him to the cemetery here. But you never forget. Never.
Was that a private ceremony of just
No.
your family went in the Pentagon?
Yes.
Were there other
Yes.
recipients?
Yes,
there? Okay.
several.
Uh-huh. Were they posthumously like Charles, or?
Yes, most of them.
How long ago was that after he was killed? Did you have that ceremony? Long time?
Well, probably at least a year.
Okay, that's not bad.
At least a year.
Did you ever, you referred to somebody living in the area that knew him back when he was killed? Who was this person?
His name was Doyle Parman.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive, and he lives in Grant City, Missouri. He's a farmer, and he was going to come down for Wednesday, but he said, we're so far behind.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand. I really do. And in the film, documentary, whatever you want to call it, the men that were talking and the places that they were really not familiar to me, because Richard was up around Seoul, and that's where he was killed. But over at the Truman Memorial Building, they have this Veterans Hall, and Doyle talks there on film, and it's very nice.
The gentleman that's a farmer?
Yes.
They interviewed him?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Does he talk about your brother or just about Korea in general?
Both.
Yeah?
And when I was talking to him the other night about coming, he said, does he ever say anything about Massacre Valley? And I said, no, I don't believe so.
That's why I'd like to talk with him, because there's parts of the story, well, we couldn't hear it all that night, but I'd like, on my behalf, if you can ask him next time I come back, I would like to interview him.
I'm sure that he would do that.
Okay.
And I have a tape, well, a disc of him, if you would like to have it.
Of course, yeah.
I'll see if I can't get you one of those.
Listen to that. But also, I'd like to tape him on camera like we're doing now, and then include him in my second documentary, which I hope to have done next June.
Good.
So we'll do it again with a part 2. We'll have more of the story.
Good.
So that's
Good.
my goal. And I want to include a little bit of what you're sharing with me today.
Yeah.
So Charles was 27 when he was killed? 28?
Yeah, 28.
Okay, 28. So did you ever have the thought that he'd be killed, or was it just...
No.
Now, how old would he be today? Would he be older than you?
Yes.
Okay.
He'd be about 84.
So you were a younger sister?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure you looked up to him and respected him when he was
I did.
gone? Even at your early age, you would
Yes.
remember that?
Yes, I do. And my older brother, as I said, was in the Air Corps and married while he was in the Air Corps, and came home and lived a pretty normal life. And then all of a sudden it was over.
Yeah, 44, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. That's crazy.
So when I went to the doctor about this shoulder before going to Korea, they said, you're a good candidate for this because of my father. So I have the scars to show it too.
Tell me, Edith, your thoughts about Charles throughout the year. When do you think about him the most?
Christmas time.
Why is that?
Because during the Second World War, when he came home, it was Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas, and he and my mother went downtown Kansas City, and he did all of his Christmas shopping in one day. So it can be done. And that always comes back. And, you know, other times, the 4th of July, when I hear those cherry bombs going off, I think, gee whiz, he was under the bed. And we always had big dinners, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whenever. And he was always there, and he was always full of life and always smiling, and had a beautiful voice, could sing. And he was just a good guy.
And do you still remember, I know it's been a long time, it'd be hard, but where you were, and did you cry when you heard about it, or were you just, how did you?
I was just numb. This can't be. It can't be my brother. And, but then you come to realize that it was. So it was hard. And the president of the Businessmen's Insurance Company at that time wrote me a very nice letter, and which I still have. And it, when you think back on it, just seemed like a dream. Not only him, but the other brother and my parents, and then my niece here just recently. And you just sometimes wonder, well, why am I still here? Yeah, I guess I have something to do, but I don't know what it is. So I try to do what's right and do for others.
How do you feel about God and the spiritual part of life, and what happened, your losses in life, and even Charles being killed? I mean, you know, they say there's no atheist in a foxhole, and on the other side, there's the families that suffer the losses even today. How do you feel about God in relation to what happened and life in general?
I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the women that was with me the other day, we were talking about life and life after death and so forth, and mainly focusing on my niece that had just passed away. And so we have decided that we know this minister, and we are going to make an appointment with him and go talk to him and lay out our questions, see if we can get them answered. Because, you know, they say that you will see them. Where do you meet up with them? How do you know they're there? How can I find them? And just, that's a lot of questions that I would like somebody to answer. And they might say, well, I don't know because I've never been there. And that's a good answer.
Well, do you believe in heaven?
Yes.
Who
Yeah.
do you think goes to heaven?
The good people. And I hope that I have been good enough to go. But all of this really disturbs me, and I would like somebody to try and explain it to me.
So when are you going to meet with the minister?
Well, he's on vacation. As soon as he comes back, why? Hopefully next week, maybe.
You may want to talk to several people too. Maybe
That's
not
true.
just one.
That's true.
So I'd be interested in talking with you after you talk with them, if that's
Okay,
okay.
that's fine.
I'll call you. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've talked to a lot of combat veterans and people that have gone through the Holocaust and the millions of people that were killed in Germany and in the concentration camps, and God-fearing people, some that weren't, and it's kind of an interesting study to just, you know, there's a loving God and yet these things happen. How does that happen? And I don't think he minds us questioning why. I think there should be some answers. And
Why do good things happen?
bad things happen to good,
Good people, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I've talked to men that prayed, went into combat, or they knew of men that prayed and they were killed. It's like, and is God an American God? I've talked to Germans who were fighting for their lives, who were praying to God that they'd be spared. So it's an interesting thought.
Doesn't he hear me? Doesn't he hear my cry? And if you do, why don't you do something about it? Maybe that's not the right attitude. I don't know. That's what I want to find out.
Well, I know it's a faith. We were supposed to believe
Yes.
by faith.
Yes.
So, but we'll talk at some point. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Are you, obviously this is an obvious answer, but tell me about the pride that you have about Charles serving our country, what he did, and many years later, the pride that you still have about him.
He was my brother. He was a good soldier. He gave his life for his country, which means me as well. And people come up to me and say, was the Richard Long that I know, is that Charles Long? And I said, yes, it is. Well, I never knew. And I said, now you know. So it can get to you sometimes, and sometimes you're big enough to stand up to it. But I think maybe the older you get, why, the easier it is to cry. I don't know.
It's okay.
But he was, and we had such fun. And as I say, he could sing so well. And
What songs did he sing? Do you remember?
well, he sang at church mainly. And then he was in the printing business, what they call the intercity press. And 4 men there got together and had a quartet. And it was the 4 wrong fonts or something like that. It's very good. They did well. And I don't know. He just always looked nice when he went everywhere, and he might be getting ready to go out on a date, and my father would say, maybe you need to knock a little dust off of those shoes. So we had.
Tell me about his funeral or memorial service that they had back here. Was there a flag, a military thing? Tell me what happened with that you remember.
The service was at our church. The church was full, running over. And then we, of course, went to Mount Washington Cemetery, and you had the firing and the presenting of the flag to my mother, I think. Maybe her, I don't know. But anyway, I finally got the flag, and it flies on Memorial Day at Mount Washington Cemetery. And I don't know, it just, as I say, it just almost seemed like a dream, a bad dream. But on the other hand, it was a good dream.
Were you ever bitter about not living his life and really doing a lot of things, or was that something that never bothered you or your family?
Never, ever bothered us.
Good.
You know that he would have done a lot of things had he lived longer, but he didn't, so they didn't get done. And I don't know what he would have done, really.
Tell me what the American flag means and represents to you, Edith.
Everything. Everything. It means that I can live in peace, that my brother shed his blood for that flag, and it really irritates me, the people that will not take off their hat, that will not put their hand over their heart, and they should be so proud that somebody did something for them. And it really, I go to Kansas City Chiefs games. They sing the national anthem. And at the end, they say, "and the home of the," they don't say brave, they say Chiefs. That really gets to me. That just ruins the whole thing. But it's very loud and very strong, and it's too bad. But I have a flagpole. I had one put up, and I put out my flag on the days that I should. And if it were lighted, I would leave it out all the time, but it's not. And I don't like for it to get wet, so I bring it in. And it means a great deal, Larry. It really does. Yeah.
How about freedom? What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means everything to me, that I can walk out of here and get in my car, go where I want, do what I want, eat where I want, spend the money like I want, and I can say what I want, and I can pray when I want, and so many people don't realize that, and it's really too bad, because that's a freedom that we can't buy with dollars and cents. We just buy it with lives. So it's very precious to me.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day, I was acquainted with a man by the name of Sonny Wells, who was very, very involved in the Medal of Honor recipients and so forth. So on many occasions, he would ask me to come and read something at a Memorial Day service somewhere, which I did for many years. And it's special. I usually go to the cemetery before that day because of the crowd, but I'm always sure that there's flags there in both places for him.
Good.
And it was still there the other day when we buried my niece. So it's, I am so sorry that there are so many people that don't appreciate what they have and what it costs to get it here and what it costs to keep it. And it is just something that I can't forget, and I never will. And I just hope that I can do as well as my brother did before I go. And I try. And I will continue to try. So.
What are your thoughts, just quickly, about the Korean War, it being referred to as a forgotten war, and how important it was for our country to be there?
Well, I don't know why we were there, but we were, and that's what so many of the veterans, I suppose they all say. They just think it's a forgotten war, and it shouldn't be like that. And as you were talking about visiting some of the children in the schools, they don't even know what you're talking about. And that's pretty sad. It is pretty sad. And somebody has to step forward and start teaching these children something about history and what history costs. And maybe someday they will. So.
And that's a big reason why I'm doing this.
Well, yes, and I'm sure you enjoy what you do, but there might be other things you'd rather do. I don't know. And where it says that this is in memory of Robert William Capetto.
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 That's my father.
My oldest brother's name was Robert William.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think there's a reason we met and we kept in touch.
I think so too, Larry.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate your asking me to do these things.
Yes, I knew him. He was short, kind of stocky built, not at all like you would picture a hero. Quiet, he didn't say much. Well, Sergeant Long was a sergeant when he came over there. Staff sergeants and lower were recalled as reservists to go over there. If you were a tech sergeant, master sergeant, you didn't have to go. Officers had to go, and he was a staff sergeant. He was in World War II, and Sergeant Long was a forward observer, and he was up ahead of us. I don't know how far, mile or so. And I suppose off of the road, somewhat, I don't know, but we were back behind the line 3 or 4 miles. Then he was up ahead of us probably a mile or so. And farther up on the real line was mostly South Korean troops. Our L company was up there. We had an artillery outfit up there, and we had an ACAC outfit up there. And when they were attacked, they just swarmed. They didn't try, they just come like waves of them. And I went on guard, and of course you had to stand guard, and like 2 on and 4 off or something like that. My time come at 2:30 in the morning. And I had just got on guard, and I heard these Koreans running down the road. It's pitch dark. So of course I wasn't the only one on guard, but I alerted the rest of them. And about that time we started getting fire orders from Sergeant Long. And his radio operator is a man named Francis Zetterberg. He's still alive, lives in Pekin, Illinois. But Sergeant Long sent him back, said you go back. He knew what was going to take place, I guess. And we fired 2 truckloads of ammunition from then till daylight. And like I said before, they never tell you anything. But Sergeant Long had radioed back that he had shot all of his carbine rounds and threw all his hand grenades, and he was surrounded, and fired 40 rounds of heavy ammunition on his position. But we didn't know that, us gunners, we didn't know that he said that. But we all fired 10 rounds apiece with 4 guns. And that was the last we heard of Sergeant Long. you.